What makes you a geek? Now, I consider myself to be a geek, a nerd, whatever you want to call it. But I consider myself that in the sense of being a person who has very intense interest in certain topics. And the truth is, I think that everybody is a geek about something: science, music, food. Your uncle who has very strong opinions about military campaigns of the 1600s is just another kind of geek. And be honest with yourself. You know that you're a geek about something. Think about it. What's a topic that you know an awful lot about? Way more than the average person. Something that you could talk about for hours on end in a way that other people might find intimidating. Let me give you an example. This is Donald Duck. Donald Fauntleroy Duck, to use his full name. Donald first appeared in the 1934 cartoon The Wise Little Hen. Everybody knows who Donald is. And most people know his nephews as well, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. By the way, although there have been variations over the years, most of the time you can tell them apart because Huey wears red, Dewey wears blue, and Louie wears green. You've probably also heard of Donald's uncle, Scrooge McDuck, the richest duck in the world. However, most people don't know just how deep the McDuck family tree runs. And that depth comes not from the cartoons, but from the comic books, mostly by Scrooge's creator, Carl Barks, and his spiritual successor, Don Rosa. Scrooge first appeared in 1947 in a comic book called Christmas on Bear Mountain. Comics and cartoon characters frequently had one-off relatives just appear and disappear at the time, and Scrooge was originally intended to be one of those. However, he proved to be immensely popular. He came back, he gained his own comic book series, which became even more popular than Donald's, and eventually he made his way to Disney Animation. His comics were published for decades, not only in the United States, but also in Europe, where they just kept adding more and more layers to his story and gave us a very rich portrait of the clan McDuck. In the comics, we learned that Scrooge was the son of Fergus McDuck and Downey O'Drake. Born in Scotland, Scrooge was a shoeshine boy in the streets of Glasgow. He was inspired to come to America when, after his first shoeshine job, he was paid with, bizarrely enough, an American dime. Incidentally, do not call it a lucky dime. Scrooge McDuck does not believe in luck. He worked for everything he has, and trust me, you don't want to offend him. In America, he got a job on the Mississippi River under his uncle, Captain Angus Pothole McDuck. There, he befriended a gadgeteer by the name of Ratchet Gearloose, whose grandson, Gyro, would later be employed by Scrooge as his personal in-house inventor. Incidentally, Gyro's little helper here, whose name actually is Little Helper, was originally a desk lamp that belonged to Donald Duck, so you could technically say he's part of the family tree too. After decades of adventuring, Scrooge settled down in Duckburg, Calisota, and he summoned his sisters to come live with him, the sweet, good-natured Matilda and the angry and fiery Hortense. Does that sound like any other duck you might know? That's right, Scrooge's sister Hortense was the mother of Donald Duck, who inherited his mother's attitude. Hortense was married to Quackmore Duck, and while it's never been revealed what Hortense and Quackmore are up to these days, Quackmore's mother, Elvira Duck, often shows up in the comic books, although she's usually then known as Grandma Duck, because she's Donald's grandma. It's not always a conspiracy. Donald also had a twin sister, Della Duck, who became the mother of Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Although in the cartoon Donald's Nephews from 1938, she sent Donald a postcard, which she signed Dumbella. Thankfully, they changed it. Della did not appear on screen in that cartoon or in any other cartoons or any comic books. And for decades, the question of what happened to the nephew's mother was one of those mysteries that seemed like it was going to go forever unsolved. Until the 2017 reboot of DuckTales not only brought the mystery of Della front and center, but brought her back and made her a main character in the story for the first time ever. And the Duck family tree doesn't end there either. Scrooge has other ancestors stretching back centuries whose stories have been told in the comic books. Plus, Donald has other cousins as well. Gladstone Gander, the luckiest duck in the world. The dim-witted but well-meaning Feathery Duck. And then there's Scrooge's little-seen half-brother, Rumpus McFowl, who isn't seen very often in the American comic books, but was very popular in Europe after it was revealed that he was the product of Fergus's little-known first marriage. And then, of course, there's Webigail Vanderquack, whose relation to the Duck family was revealed in the finale of DuckTales, and I don't want to tell you what it is because the reveal is just too delicious. So yes, I am a geek. There are certain areas of culture in which I have an almost frightening amount of very specific knowledge. And if you're trying to figure out how it is possible for a human being to have this level of information at their fingertips available to call out about a topic that has no relevance or impact on their life personally, but they can still talk about it in this meticulous detail for hours on end, let me just ask you this question. How did your NFL mock draft go?